The sun was just beginning to rise when Daniel stood alone at the bus stop, holding a small, worn-out backpack. The air was cold, but his hands were colder, not from the weather, but from fear. He was only 12 years old, yet his eyes carried a sadness far older than his age. Today was not an ordinary day. Today was the day his life would change forever. Daniel lived with his father in a small town where everyone knew each other, but no one really knew what happened behind closed doors. His mother had passed away years ago, and since then, his home had slowly turned into a place of silence and anger. His father worked long hours, and when he returned, exhaustion often turned into harsh words. Daniel learned early how to stay quiet, how to disappear into corners, and how to survive without asking for love. At school, Daniel was known as the quiet one. He sat at the back of the class, never raised his hand, and avoided eye contact. His teachers thought he was shy, but the truth was deeper, he was afraid of being noticed. Being noticed meant being questioned, and questions could lead to truths he wasn't ready to share. That morning, Daniel had made a decision. A dangerous one. After weeks of feeling invisible and unwanted, he believed running away was the only answer. Inside his backpack were a bottle of water, a few biscuits, and a folded photograph of his mother smiling at him. That picture was his strength, and his pain. As the bus arrived, Daniel hesitated. His heart pounded loudly in his chest. Was this the right choice? He looked back at the empty road leading to his home. No one was coming to stop him. No one even knew he was leaving. With trembling legs, he stepped onto the bus. The journey felt endless. Through the window, the town slowly disappeared, replaced by unfamiliar roads and faces. Daniel felt a strange mix of freedom and terror. For the first time, no one could shout at him, no one could ignore him, but at the same time, he had no idea where he was going. A few seats away, an elderly man noticed Daniel's tear-filled eyes. There was kindness in his gaze, the kind Daniel hadn't felt in a long time. But Daniel quickly looked away. Trust didn't come easily anymore. As the bus moved forward, Daniel hugged his backpack tightly. He didn't know it yet, but this journey would lead him to people, truths, and choices that would test his courage in ways he never imagined. This was only the beginning. The bus finally stopped at a small, unfamiliar town as evening began to fall. Daniel stepped off slowly, his legs weak and his heart heavy. The streets were crowded, yet he felt completely alone. Tall buildings surrounded him, and the noise of traffic made his head spin. This place was nothing like his quiet hometown. Fear wrapped around him like a shadow. Daniel walked for hours, not knowing where to go. The little food he had was almost gone, and his throat felt dry. He sat on the steps of a closed shop, pulling his knees close to his chest. For the first time since leaving home, tears began to fall freely. He missed his mother. He missed feeling safe. Running away suddenly didn't feel brave anymore. Night came quickly. Streetlights flickered on, and the cold air grew sharper. Daniel hugged his backpack and tried to sleep, but every sound startled him. Voices, footsteps, passing cars, everything felt like danger. His stomach ached with hunger, and his mind was full of regret. That was when someone stopped in front of him. "Are you okay, son?" a gentle voice asked. Daniel looked up and saw the same elderly man from the bus. He was holding a small paper bag and a bottle of water. His eyes were calm and warm, not demanding answers, just concern. Daniel hesitated, but hunger spoke louder than fear. He nodded slowly. The man sat beside him, keeping a respectful distance. "My name is Mr. Harris," he said. "I saw you on the bus. You looked like someone carrying a heavy heart." Those words broke something inside Daniel. Between quiet sobs, he told him everything, about his mother, his lonely home, and the decision to run away. Mr. Harris listened without interruption, without judgment. When Daniel finished, the old man sighed softly. "Running away doesn't mean you're weak," he said. "Sometimes it means you're hurting. But pain doesn't disappear just because we change places." Mr. Harris offered Daniel some food and told him about a nearby shelter that helped children in trouble. Daniel was unsure. Trust had hurt him before. But something about Mr. Harris felt safe, like a reminder of the kindness his mother used to show. As they walked together, Daniel felt a small spark of hope. Maybe the world wasn't as cruel as he thought. Maybe there were still people who cared. At the shelter, a kind woman welcomed Daniel warmly. She wrapped a blanket around his shoulders and gave him a hot meal. The warmth spread through his body and his heart. For the first time in a long while, Daniel felt seen. That night, lying on a clean bed, Daniel stared at the ceiling. His future was still uncertain, but one thing was clear, his journey was not just about running away anymore. It was about finding courage, healing, and a place where he truly belonged. And somewhere deep inside, Daniel began to believe that tomorrow might be better.